This story happened 2 years ago, but even now, I can remember every little detail like it just happened yesterday. It started like any normal school day. I was tired, bored, and ready for the day to end. My last class was history, a subject I hated and honestly was failing. So instead of dragging myself there, I decided to skip it and hang out in one of the back bathrooms where no one ever went. It was a place I had used to hide before, a small, quiet bathroom far from the main halls. I went to the last stall, locked the door, and sat down, pulling out my phone to pass the time. I played a game for a few minutes and scrolled through my social media, not caring about the world outside. Then the intercom crackled to life. The principal's voice was loud and urgent. "Lockdown, lockdown. This is a real emergency. All students and staff, follow lockdown procedures immediately." At first, I didn't take it seriously. We had lockdown drills all the time, and they were never a big deal. I figured this was just another one. Still, I decided to stay quiet and keep playing on my phone. But something felt different. The bathroom was eerily silent, except for the faint sound of doors being slammed shut in the distance. Then the lights flickered and went out completely. Even the hum of the air conditioning stopped. Now I was sitting in total darkness, and for the first time, I felt a chill of fear creep up my spine. I grabbed my phone and texted my friend Daniel, who was in my history class. "Hey, what's going on? This a drill?" He replied almost immediately. "No, dude, this is real. Where are you? Everyone's asking about you." That was the moment I froze. My hand started shaking as I texted him back. "I'm hiding in the bathroom at the back of the school." His next message came quickly. "Stay hidden. Whatever you do, don't make a sound." I asked him what was happening, and it took him a few minutes to respond. Those few minutes felt like hours. Finally, he said, "Some psycho with a knife is walking around the school. He's banging on doors trying to get in." My stomach dropped. I turned my phone's brightness all the way down and silenced it. I sat there in the stall, holding my breath, trying not to make even the tiniest noise. That's when I heard it. Footsteps echoing in the hallway outside. The sound was faint at first, but it got louder and louder. Someone was running, their shoes slamming against the tile floor. Then the footsteps slowed down, and I heard the bathroom door creak open. I froze. Whoever it was walked in, their footsteps slow and deliberate. Slow and deliberate. The sound of heavy breathing filled the room. I could hear the person moving closer, their shoes scraping against the floor. My heart was pounding so loudly I was sure they could hear it. The person stopped at the stall next to mine. I could hear the latch being fiddled with. The door opened, then closed. Whoever it was didn't make another sound after that. For a long time, I just sat there, completely frozen. Finally, I whispered, "Who's there?" A voice answered, shaky and nervous. "It's me. I heard the lockdown and came to hide." The voice sounded like a kid and maybe around my age. And for a moment I felt a little relieved, but something still didn't feel right. We sat in silence for what felt like hours, but it was probably only a few minutes. Suddenly, the intercom came back on, and the principal's voice said, "The lockdown has been lifted. All students and staff, please exit the building calmly through the front doors. Police are on site." I sighed in relief. I stood up and unlocked my stall door. "You coming?" I asked the person in the next stall. There was a pause before they replied, "Yeah, just give me a minute." Something about the way they said it made my stomach twist, but I didn't want to stick around. I left the bathroom and headed for the front doors. The hallways were eerily quiet, and the only sounds were my footsteps and the faint murmur of people outside. As I walked, my phone buzzed. It was Daniel again. His message made my blood run cold. They haven't caught the guy yet. Cops think he's still hiding somewhere in the back of the school. I stopped dead in my tracks. My breathing got shallow, and my heart seemed like it was going to explode. My legs started moving on their own, and I ran as fast as I could to the front doors. When I got outside, I saw police officers everywhere, talking to students and teachers. I ran up to one of them, panting, and told them everything: the footsteps, the person in the stall, everything. They immediately went to search the bathroom. When they came back, they told me it was empty. The window in the bathroom was broken, and whoever had been in there was gone. For days, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I kept replaying the moment in my head, the heavy breathing, the shaky voice, the way they said, "Give me a minute." The police never found the guy. To this day, I don't know if the person in that stall was just another student like me, or if I had been sitting just feet away from the person we were all hiding from. The thought still gives me chills. In the days following the lockdown, the school tried to go back to normal, but it was impossible. Everyone was on edge, constantly looking over their shoulders. Security measures were increased, metal detectors at the entrances, more cameras in the hallways, and even armed guards. Despite all this, I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. I felt like I was being watched, especially in the quiet moments, like when I stayed late for detention or when I walked home alone. One night, about a week after the incident, I was lying in bed scrolling through my phone when I got a text from an unknown number. It said, "Did you miss me?" I sketched out to convince myself it was just a prank, but before I could respond, another message came through. "You shouldn't have left me in that bathroom." I dropped my phone. My mind raced as I tried to figure out who it could be. I thought about all the people I knew at school, but no one came to mind. That night I didn't sleep. Every little noise in the house made me jump, and I kept glancing at my window, half expecting to see someone standing there. The next day at school, I showed the texts to Daniel. He looked just as freaked out as I felt. "You need to tell someone," he said. But who could I tell? The police? The principal? I knew they wouldn't believe me. There was no proof that the messages were connected to the lockdown. For all they knew, it was just some idiot messing with me. The texts didn't stop. Every few nights, I'd get another one. "Did you see me today? You can't hide forever. I liked your blue hoodie." That last one sent chills down my spine because I had been wearing a blue hoodie that day. Whoever was texting me wasn't just guessing, they were watching me. Then one night, it got worse. I was alone in the house because my parents had gone out for dinner. I was sitting in the living room trying to distract myself with a movie when I heard a soft tapping sound. At first I thought it was the wind, but then it happened again. 3 soft taps, like someone was gently knocking on glass. I muted the TV and froze listening. Tap, tap, tap. It was coming from the back door. I didn't want to look, but I couldn't stop myself. I got up slowly, my heart pounding, and peeked through the curtains. No one was there. I let out a shaky breath, trying to calm down. I told myself it was nothing, just my imagination playing tricks on me. I sat back down, but the moment I did, my phone buzzed. The message was short. "I saw you." I felt like I was going to throw up. Whoever it was had been there, outside my house. I called Daniel, my voice shaking. "Someone's outside," I whispered. He didn't hesitate. "Call the cops. I'm coming over right now." I hung up and dialed 911. The operator assured me that officers were on their way. I stayed on the line, clutching my phone like a lifeline. It was coming from the window in the living room. Yeah, I didn't look, I couldn't. Instead, I ran upstairs and locked myself in my bedroom. I sat in the corner, clutching a baseball bat I had grabbed from my closet, and waited for what felt like an eternity. When the police finally arrived, they found no one. The back door was unlocked, and there were muddy footprints leading away from the house, but that was it. The officers assured me that they would patrol the area and keep an eye on my house, but their words didn't make me feel any safer. Daniel stayed over that night, but neither of us got any sleep. We just sat in my room, talking in hushed tones about what had happened. "You think it's the guy from the lockdown?" I didn't? "What is she doing?" I didn't know what to say. Deep down, I knew it was. The texts stopped after that night, but the fear never went away. I started changing my routines, taking different routes to school, never staying late, and always making sure I was still out there, watching, waiting. And the worst part, sometimes late at night, I still hear the tapping. It happened 2 weeks after the lockdown. The school still felt eerie, like the walls were holding on to the fear and panic we all felt that day. Teachers tried to brush it off, saying we had to move on, but I knew something was wrong. One Friday afternoon, I stayed late to finish a group project. My partners had bailed, leaving me alone in the computer lab. By the time I was done, the hallways were dark and empty. As I walked toward the exit, my footsteps echoed. That's when I noticed something. Another set of footsteps. I stopped. The sound stopped. I turned around, but no one was there. My mind raced. Maybe it was just the janitor or a teacher. "Hello?" I called out. My voice sounded small and shaky. No answer. I hurried toward the exit, trying not to look over my shoulder. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw it. A shadow moving down the hallway just past the lockers. I froze. It wasn't the shadow of a person. It was too tall, too thin, and it moved unnaturally, gliding instead of walking. I bolted for the doors, but they were locked. My heart sank as I realized I hadn't heard the janitor locking up for the night. I turned back, scanning the hallway. The shadow was gone, but I could feel it. I knew it was still there. "Who's there?" I shouted, my voice echoing. The lights flickered. A loud clang echoed from the far end of the hallway, like a locker slamming shut. I backed away, my breathing shallow. Then I heard it. A whisper, faint but chilling. "Did you leave me?" I didn't stay to find out who or what was speaking. I sprinted to the emergency exit, slamming into the door with all my weight. The alarm blared as it swung open, and I ran into the night without looking back. The next day, I told the principal what had happened. He dismissed it as my imagination. But later, when I walked past the lockers where I'd seen the shadow, I noticed something strange. Scratched into the metal of one locker were the words, "I'm still here. I never stayed late at school again."